This is KUGAN CASSIUS for iFilm London. With me I've got HEARN. I'm fucked.
Oh, so am I, mate. 8 hours in the car, my Gary's in bits.
Right, we don't know about that.
We should have really done this at Gallagher's gym, but you know, you were too busy. You know. Nice to see you so excited again today, Cougs. You know what I mean? Like back, new season, buzzing. I saw you. You're in your element. You know, you've gone off the rails a little bit over the summer break. We all know that. We won't go into that on camera. But I think today was a turning point, getting you back on track. You know, you looked in your element, so comfortable interviewing the fighters, and I hope you had a good day.
Do you know what was really funny? The fact that most of the fighters I interviewed weren't even your fighters.
Ah, that's all right.
No, I'm just saying.
You have to be impartial.
I know, that's fine. Well, we was in Manchester today. I don't actually really know why we went to Manchester.
Well, I was going to have a press conference in Liverpool today, and then we ended up changing the date. And I wanted to see Joe's setup. I wanted to see Scott Quigg. I wanted to see Scotty Card. I wanted to see Callum. You know, I just enjoyed the day. I think it's important to try and spend time with your fighters. I think they appreciate it as well. Obviously, we're in the car for what, 8 or 9 hours. And to be honest with you, like in the car, I can get a lot of work done as well when you're not snoring. You do keep in the car. I've never known anyone who sleeps as well as you in a car. And do you ever sleep without your mouth open?
Yeah, when I'm not like, if I'm like laying down.
I was so tempted to take a few photos of you today,
it's getting
but I didn't.
boring,
No, I didn't. Because I was tired myself. I thought if I fall asleep, I don't want him taking one.
Okay. Froch and Groves, what the fuck's going on? Everyone's tweeting me. Everyone's tweeting you.
People were saying to me, I reckon it's off now. It's not off. On Friday, we will announce the date and the venue and the date of the press conference when the tickets will go on sale. You got to, there's so much going on. You know, there's Brook against Senchenko on sale. There's Joshua's debut on sale. There's David Haye against Tyson Fury. You know, there's so many big fights that are happening that I don't just want to just bamboozle people. So when the timing's right, and also it's about getting the press announcement right for the press conference. Don't forget, we're just coming off a summer break. So a lot of people are away at the moment. And then after the Burns fight, which is next week, which is chock-a-block with media stuff, everyone goes to the Mayweather fight. So that week's a no-no for doing press stuff. So the press conference will be on like the 16th of September or something like that. So the fight's happening, it's all signed, and the interest has been massive for on Twitter. I think it's going to grow into a huge fight. So don't panic, it's still live.
So you can't just tell the people anything about.
But what would be the point in announcing it on Friday?
Well, it wouldn't really, I suppose. If
So,
you said it
you know,
now.
it's in England.
It's in England?
Yeah.
Well, that's an exclusive.
Well, that is.
Thanks for that.
But there's 2 venues, isn't there? O2 or MEN, basically.
Okay. I spoke to you in Atlantic City, but I didn't really speak to you after Darren had become IBF middleweight champion of the world. You were crying.
That's that in my eye.
Like a little bitch crying.
No, come on, you must have been
You've taken
you must have been close
Listen,
to tears.
we've all seen the pictures of you running in the ring, hugging your fighters like, you know, you want to have sex with them, all them sort of things. Now it was like tears to the eyes. No, listen, I was happy for Darren Barker. Everyone...
Yeah. It meant a lot, you know. I mean, because I knew what... One thing I was really concerned about is the amount of pressure that Darren Barker put on himself going into that fight. He trained himself and mentally prepared himself that whatever happened, he had to win that fight. And I was kind of half worried for him if he didn't win the fight, how it would leave him mentally, because I know what he's like as an individual. And also you got to realise, you know, behind the scene, what a lot of people wouldn't have seen was that he virtually quit boxing this time last year when he got injured before the Rotolo fight, you know. And we had to do a lot of talking, and I would never have really forgiven myself if I'd let him leave the sport without really having a good crack at it. And I knew that if we could just get a bit of momentum, you know, and that came in the form of Kerry Hope and the rearranged Rotolo fight. And then he begged me for the Gill fight, and so did Tony, and I went out and made it, and I was chuffed that I made it. But to see him win after everything he's been through, and to come back off the deck, you know, and put in a performance like that. And, you know, I thought he won by 3 or 4 rounds. But then when you get in the ring at the end, you think, you know, it's not our show, and are we going to get a fair crack at a whip? And we did. You know, I mean, one was a little bit wide. Like I said, I had it by 3 rounds. But when, you know, it's hard to explain when you're standing there and you're thinking, please don't say in the still, please don't say in the still. And then Buffer says, and the no. It's like, you know, it's a great, such a wonderful experience to be a part of. And I said to someone today, in life, you've always got people that, no matter how nice a bloke they are, generally there's always a couple of people that would love to see them fail. With Darren Barker, I don't know anyone that would like to see Darren Barker fail. And that's testament to the kind of person he is, you know. And I think that's why the win has been received in the way it's been received. You know, he's become a little bit of a national hero, and I'm so pleased for him. You know, I'm pleased for him that I said to him in New York, no matter what happens in your career now, you can look back and smile because you've become the world champion. No one can ever take that away from you. But, you know, and it can never really be about the money, but to know that he's going to be now set up financially for the rest of his life makes me really, really proud, because I know that in his life now, he'll always be comfortable. You know, he'll never have to struggle for a few quid. And that's nice to get that out of boxing when you've worked so hard. And it's nice to be a part of that, to be part of the responsibility for making that happen. And, you know, I can't wait for it. You know, who knows? Darren Barker could have 5, 6, 7 fights left. You know, I mean, he's going to probably fight Sturm next as the mandatory. Then he may rematch Gill. He may fight Murray. You know, there's unification fights out there, but it's so pleasing to see, because it's probably one against the head, Darren Barker. You know, people didn't look at him 5 or 6 months ago and think he's going to be a world champion or he's going to be one of the next world champions. So it kind of feels like we're free rolling now.
Would you be tempted or not tempted to put him in with Golovkin?
It's the toughest fight out there, isn't it? So it would have to be an obscene financial reward for me to consider that fight. Darren would fight anyone, as boxers do, as fighters do. But really, you know, we've got obligations, which is Sturm initially, which actually, you know, if he wasn't the mandatory, he's a fight I'd look at anyway. And then potentially a rematch with Gill. The British fights, obviously, people want. Golovkin down the line, I don't know. You know, it's a real tough fight. But if the money's there, you know, I'll put the opportunities in front of my fighters and we'll all consider them.
Tony Bellew to face the winner of Tavoris Cloud versus Adonis Stevenson. So there was some things that Adonis Stevenson said about he doesn't know whether that fight will happen, but
yeah, I mean, look, it's very simple. We've got the contract from Adonis Stevenson and everything's agreed. So you can't stop Adonis Stevenson from vacating the title. You know, we've had written confirmation from the WBC that confirms that the winner of that fight must fight Tony Bellew within 90 days, you know, or be stripped of the title. So there's no way out for those two. If they want to vacate the belt, then you can't really stop them from doing that. And, you know, Stevenson could vacate and fight Kovalev for the world title, or could even step back down to super middleweight. I think he'll fight Tony Bellew, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, they've already got the ball rolling for November the 30th in Quebec City. It's a tough fight against Cloud. I think he's the favourite, but you know, Tony really wants to fight Stevenson. That's the fight he really wants. You know, I said to him today, listen, the worst way you're going to get a shot at a vacant title, and we could probably do it in Liverpool. He said, yeah, but I really want to fight Stevenson in Canada. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's a great place for him to be at the moment, because, you know, he's a mandatory challenger and he's going to get his shot, and it's really not that far away.
No, just I brought it up because obviously there was some stuff on Twitter, and then Tony tweeted out the other day saying, look, he was obviously spoke to you and he's confident that
we're solid. I mean, look, you know, people will try and manoeuvre all the time in boxing, and it's our job to cover the bases. And all we can do is get the paperwork from the WBC, and you know, have the proof there that it says both fighters might, you know, Stevenson contracted with Bellew to fight him on November the 30th, and Cloud also in agreement with the WBC must fight Bellew. So, you know, you'll always try and get turned over in boxing and in life, but you've got to fight your corner. And I'm confident we've got everything in place and the right relationships that we won't get rogered. and it's a better word than what I was going to say. You know, and again, if he wants to vacate and go elsewhere, there's not a lot you can do. But Tony Bellew will fight for the WBC title this year.
Okay. Were you surprised what happened in Cardiff on the same night as Barker winning the IBF with loser world champion and Nathan Cleverly stopped in 4 rounds?
I was obviously in America that week. And I spoke to you, and I kept asking people who I really respected in boxing what they thought of the fight, and I said, you know, I've seen a little bit of him. He looks a little bit crude, Kovalev. Maybe Cleverly could outbox him. I got laughed out of town by everyone. They said it won't go 5 rounds. I mean, the betting favourite was Kovalev. Everyone in America kept asking me, why on earth are they taking this fight? And I don't really know the answer. I mean, I said I'm not privy to the purses, but by all accounts, Cleverly received a small purse for the fight. They're in an arena that holds 5,000, which wasn't even full, and yet it was a great fight. So there was reportedly, again, I'm not privy to the information, no rematch scores, no options, yet it was a voluntary defence. I don't know, maybe Frank was just under pressure from Cleverly to deliver a big fight, but I don't see, you never gamble, you know, for no money or no security. You gamble, you know, in the right fights, but I don't know. I mean, Kovalev is obviously good. How good, we don't know. But it just seemed like man against boy in there. And listen, Cleverly's young, he's a great fighter, I'm sure he'll come back. But it's tough to come back from a loss like that. It's a bit like Froch Bute. It was that kind of manhandling. And I don't know mentally how you come back from that. Being so young and talented as Nathan is, I hope he does. Because I just think he got himself into a hole where he was, I mean, you look at his fights. I mean, the toughest fight Cleverly's had outside of Kovalev was Tony Bellew, who'd had 16 fights when they met. And that was like a life or death, could have gone either way at the end. You know, and since then, I mean, look at the opponents. Carpensey, Sean Hawke and Krasniqi. You know, that's no preparation for a Kovalev. But maybe they just said, we're going to gamble now. But I don't understand the gamble in those circumstances. But this is not my business, not my fighter, but I wish him the best, and you know, I really hope he does come back strong from this and better.
Was with the infamous Sarge today.
Oh yeah.
And all these people that apparently hate you don't hate you.
Weird setup, isn't it? You know.
She's never really.
I don't really get, like, I'm not the kind of person that's going to get really offended by stick and abuse and, you know, like you. Because you do. I mean, let's be honest. You don't take it very well, do you? Be honest. I mean, double transparency here.
Just saying about.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that. And so he's given me loads of stick, Sarge, over the years. So really, like, I met him today and he was nice as pie.
Bought you a bit of chicken.
Yeah, but it was all like, oh, it's only bands, and I thought, really? You know, I wanted to rip your head off a few months ago, but you know. He's a nice bloke, and Twitter does sometimes bring out the worst in people, doesn't it? It's very easy to, you know, but the life is strange, and the world is strange in that people like the Khans, who, you know, clearly hated me, what, a year ago, you know, we're having meetings and I'm getting on really well with them, and they're nice people. So, you know, I think we need to spread a little bit of love. You know what I'm saying, Quiggy?
Yeah. Get everyone getting on.
But I just, you know, I don't always. I know obviously some people have got agendas, but I think there's enough room for everybody to work with each other and spread a little bit of love in the world. I think it'll make the world a better place.
But you just can't do anything about them people who just think you're a cock.
Yeah, not really.
No.
I mean, there's only a few
that you know of.
You know, yeah, and I don't block them. I mean, we have this conversation. I blocked a few.
You said you there.
I'm borderline blocking a few on Twitter because they're blocking up my timeline. You know, I don't mind constructive criticism, but I don't. You know, I hate just like obsessive criticism, which is just like you're so single-minded that I'm doing everything wrong that you don't even. I mean, you know.
So I get caught up in your criticism. It's nothing to do with me. I just get caught up in your hatred.
No.
So people sort of tweet you.
I don't know why you'd hate me, really. I mean, you know, I mean, you might think I'm a bit of a knob. I don't know why you hate me.
Don't know. No, you're right. I don't know where someone...
You were a bit moody this morning, I thought.
Moody?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, obviously, how long since I see you? At least a month.
Well, you should have seen me in Atlantic City. You didn't.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I can't just keep low. I mean, I'm trying to run a business here, and to bring you would have cost me flights, hotel, but it's a couple of grand. Yeah, and I could take another team member for that.
To do what?
To support Darren Barker and try and spend that money to help him win.
Well, you won regardless anyway. You didn't need anyone, did you?
Maybe you won because I flew through more people out. You didn't know about some.
We also see Scott Quigg today, so he's just over a month away from his big chance to become our next world champion. So pleased with everything.
Yeah, really pleased. I mean, you know, Scott's so focused and so determined. He's got a really, really tough fight in Salinas, but it's a vacant title and you got it on home patch in front of 20,000 people. So you've got to try and grab it. It's a real 50-50 fight. I believe Scott's going to win. And then obviously, you know, so many fights. It's a wonderful division. You know, you've got obviously Martinez, shocked Romero in Atlantic City. You've got Santa Cruz, look very, very good. You know, beat Terrazas. Carl Frampton, of course. You know, he's fighting soon. And it's a brilliant division. Brilliant division. And if Scott can get hold of that world title, he's in such a strong position.
Kell Brook fighting on October 26th. So, what next for Kell Brook then? I know. Listen. We don't want to overlook Sinchenko, but
yeah, listen. All I say about Sinchenko is he had a good. You know, I mean, he was supposed to win, but he looked well at the weekend. He won 4th round knockout. He's levels above anything that Kell's ever faced. Let's be honest. You know, Kell Brook's been in with some decent fighters, Carson Jones, Matthew Hatton. You know, but nothing of world level. Is Sinchenko world level? Well, he's a former world champion. So I think, yeah. So he's by far the best opponent Kell's ever been in with. But after this fight, Kell will still be mandatory for the IBF. He will be down to fight the winner of Khan against Alexander. There's 2 fights I want. And I think it's time to stop fucking around. And that's Amir Khan and ADRIEN BRONER. And I want them in the UK in the spring. And I've told Richard Schaefer that. And he's receptive to it. And I think we can make it happen. Brook against Broner is such a wonderful fight for British boxing. You know, we can do that in front of 20,000 people. And we can make it happen.
Do it.
Well, obviously, I'm going to try, aren't I?
Do it.
Dream big. That's what they say, isn't it?
Do it. But you said to me earlier that that fight can be not easily made, but it can be quite. It's makeable.
The money's there. The money's there.
Yeah.
The money's there. I mean, this is going back to pay. I don't want to mention pay-per-view in every interview.
Ooh.
But well, if you don't think Brook Broner at MEN is pay-per-view, but this is what I'm saying. If we've got the model in place, then every now and again those fights can be made. Brook Broner can be made via pay-per-view. Brook Khan can be made via pay-per-view. Hey Klitschko can be made potentially by pay-per-view. You know, so, and without it, it can't be. So there's your choice.
Okay. Is that a D&G?
What?
The jacket?
Yeah.
It looks like D&G.
It's Dolce & Gabbana, ain't D&G.
Are you a moron?
Well, it's 2 different things.
Why is it a different thing?
Kugi ain't got a clue, mate.
What are you on about?
Dolce & Gabbana is mainline. D&G is... It's like... Giorgio Armani, Emporio Armani. Do you know what I mean? It's like Ralph Lauren Sport. That's a mainline logo. And the other logo is D and G. So that's, you wear more of that sort of stuff.
You prat.
But yours is like F&P.
What's that? Fred and Perry?
No, but it's just like they got it wrong, didn't they?
Oh, prat. The fights, the overseas fights, have they announced them yet, Sky?
No, we're going to announce them today. We're waiting for approval from the press release, Sky. It will go out tomorrow morning. I'm sorry, so sorry to people that I'm probably a day late again on the announcement. 4 fights announced through September and October.
Can you just tell us one? What would happen if you announced one?
Nothing. I ain't going to get told off.
Well, just
But I mean, I'll go for it, right? One is a fight where there's a lot of interest for a British fighter, one of our fighters, right?
Can I say it if you don't?
Well, you can guess it. I'm not going to say yes or no.
Cloud Stevenson.
The second one is a fight with a current world champion against really a bit of a legend. It's a wonderful fight, really, really big fight.
So I guess this one as
Come
well.
on, man.
Bradley Marcus.
Well, are you just going to like go on and talk about what I've talked about on the phone while you've been listening and stuff like that? So
I'll leave it there.
Anyway, there's 4 brilliant fights, and we're 1 year into this new deal with Sky, and I think we've made some big strides for where British boxing is now compared to where it was a year or 2 years ago. Now we're going to take it to another level, and that's not just about our shows, but that's about working with Sky to deliver the best boxing coverage we can. And for that to happen, I feel we have to bring in the big international fights. You know, last year we didn't do that. We brought in a few, but I think we need to do that consistently. And, you know, if we can bring in big international fights with the huge fights that we're going to do in the UK, the coverage is going to be fantastic. And I think it's important, and it's something that I've pushed myself with Sky, something they're receptive to. They've seen the success of boxing. They've seen the interest grow. Everyone's seeing it. So now it's time to back the sport even more. You know, and beyond the international announcement that will come tomorrow, we will have our own announcement to discuss the future of Matchroom in boxing, which is going to be big news and great news for the sport.
These 4 fights from overseas, has it got anything to do with Box Nation killing it with the overseas fights and bringing a lot of good fights week in, week out? Catching up with that, really?
Because not really, because I mean, you've got to understand, Sky Sports is not a boxing channel, so it hasn't really got an obligation to compete with Box Nation in that respect. What they've seen is they've seen interest in the sport grow. So therefore, as a business, you invest more money in that particular sport. Viewing figures will increase, or have increased. You know, people are talking a lot more about boxing again. We've got more world champions coming through. We've got better fighters going through. You've got the success of the Olympics, the likes of Campbell, Joshua. So, but it's not really, you know, Sky don't sit there and go, we must beat Box Nation.
It's not about beating them, but obviously they are.
But I think what's happened is, because there wasn't a budget in year 1 for international content, Box Nation have been able to pick up all the international content for very small money. But now there is budget for international content from us and from Sky, so therefore we will be buying that content. And the first 4 that we've bought are fantastic. And now it's not just September, October. It's what can we get in November? What can we get in January? What can, you know, and it's all about. But I want fights that are relevant. I want fights that are relevant to British fighters, potential opponents, or in weight divisions of which we have an interest. You know, and you know, you talk about Stevenson against Cloud. You know, that's a fight that is obviously of interest to Tony Bellew. He fights the winner. You know, there's other fights in the schedules that have things like Terence Crawford against Klimov, I think the Russian. Well, Crawford could be a potential opponent for Burns. You know, the fight at top rank between Andrade and Vanes for the WBO light middleweight title, the winner will probably fight Brian Rose. So there has to be a relevance. It can't just be, yeah, buy that, buy that, buy that. But at the same point, sometimes there'll be such a good fight that you'll really want. And you know, there's a few in there. You know, the first 4 have got something for everybody. You know, they've got the huge fights, super fights. They've got some fights to satisfy the hardcore boxing fans. They've got fights which are completely relevant to Matchroom fighters. So I'm really pleased with the first 4, and it's just the beginning.
All right, drop me off now.
Yeah. I'll pick you up, drop you off, whatever you want to do, Cook, you know.
All right.
Yeah, hopefully your attitude improves next time.
What about my attitude?
I don't know.
What, today?
Yeah. What you doing? If you had the hump this morning or you had a hangover because you know you're drinking?
Listen, I went to bed at 3:30. I got up at fucking 6:30 to be at yours for fucking 7:30.
Oh, and then I drove you all the way to Manchester.
You drove?
Well, you drove?
Did you drive?
Did you drive?
I didn't drive, but did you drive?
In spirit.
You fucking got poor Dow. Didn't even feed him today. Oh no, you
did. Sarge got him some chicken.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you very much for talking to us. No signings coming.
I'm kind of full up, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a...
I wish you'd had a word with our fucking manager, Wenger, your signings.
There's
no one.
Oh, yeah, but then you moan, I mean...
Yeah.
You love a moan, Arsenal fans. But there's some big fighters that want to join us, but, it's, you know, I've got to give them what I can promise them. Otherwise, you know, I mean, we've got a wonderful stable. And I just can't wait for the new season. And Burns Beltran is a brilliant way to kick it off. Two-weight champion Ricky Burns. It's a brilliant fight. Beltran's here early. He's so up for this fight, so top rank. And it's going to be a brilliant fight to kick off the new season.
All right. KUGAN CASSIUS with Eddie Hearn in his Dolce & Gabbana. How much was that, by the way?
I think it was in the sale. I don't know. I can't remember.
Monkey, isn't it?
I think it was in the sale.
Sale for a monkey is probably about 8.
MrPorter.com. Have you tried Mr. Porter?
No.
I recommend it.
Okay.
Every now and again, I put something out on Twitter about something I've bought, and everyone goes, "Oh, you're so too Bob. That's such a plug for free gear." I never get any free gear, but I might start doing it.
Not
shirts and you know. Yeah. But I think if someone's got a good product, Swelterwear, good example. I'll pay for my Swelterwear suits. Only like 30, 40 quid, but I think it's a brilliant product.
Do you think Mayweather pays for his Swelterwear?
I don't care really. But he don't tweet about it, does he? But I say, been for a run in Swelterwear, got to say this fucking, it's a great product. If people have got great products, you should get behind it, support them. Yeah. A bit like I Film London. Yeah. You know, great product, people got to get behind it and support it.
Soon to be renamed.
Is it? What's it going to be? Or is it a secret?
It is a secret.
Oh.
Yeah.
Soon to be... secrets, I've told you.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is, not on camera, but I'll tell you what it is, yeah. I think it's a good thing, because I Film London, whilst it's developed a brand name... It's not too dissimilar, but it's... I Film Basildon. Yeah. Is that what it is? Branching down. Yeah. Right. I film things. Well, I film Hearn. I Hearn. That's what it should be. Well, it should be. Why should it be that? Because you film me a lot. Are you going to be... What are you going to do? Because at the moment, you're sort of dipping into other things, like you've got the celebrity stuff, you've got the reality stuff. Listen, everything will... In the next sort of 8 weeks, we're going through a revamp, a period of transition. Brand redevelopment. Yeah. I think it's exciting. I mean, it's difficult really, isn't it? Because you're so big in boxing. Do you just leave the other stuff out? Or... Because I don't think the two are really related. Yeah, but then the reality stuff, do you get massive views for the reality? Listen, I'll be honest with you. Or is boxing the winner? Well, boxing's clearly the winner. But there are other stuff. It's not just specific to television stuff. It's stuff that interests me. So it could be film, just whatever. Animal porn. Yeah. Definitely. Fucking weirdo. Alright. KUGAN CASSIUS with Eddie Hearn for I Film Basildon. I Film... No, let's leave it there. Thank you.